The first thing I noticed when I walked down the aisle wasn't the music or my soon-to-be spouse's smile. It was the two empty chairs in the front row. My parents' seats, reserved with name cards, untouched, glaringly visible. Everyone saw it. Some guests whispered. Others pretended not to notice. My aunt leaned toward me earlier that morning, trying to soften the blow. They said they needed a break. They're in Big Sur for the week. A little vacation. A vacation. On my wedding day. I smiled politely, but inside something cracked. My parents had always been self-involved, I suppose. They missed my graduation for a yoga retreat, my first art exhibit, because traffic was bad. Still, I believed that my wedding would be different, that they'd show up not out of duty, but love. But as I stood there exchanging vows, I saw those empty seats like ghosts in the crowd. And I realized they weren't coming. They never were. I made it through the ceremony, the photos, the dinner, all with a strange calm. Everyone kept apologizing on their behalf. They must have had a good reason, someone said. I nodded, but deep down, I knew. Their absence was their message. They didn't think I mattered enough. That night, while guests danced under string lights, I stepped away to a quiet corner, phone in hand. Their social media feed confirmed it. Smiling pictures of them in Big Sur, captioned, "Finally some peace." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I smiled, not bitterly, not sadly, just a slow, steady realization forming in my chest. They thought they'd taught me independence by neglect. But this time, I was going to teach them something. They skipped my wedding for a trip, but what I was about to do would make sure they'd never forget it. The next morning after my wedding, I woke up to sunlight cutting through the curtains and silence, so complete it almost echoed. The celebration was over. The laughter, the music, the vows, all done. But the two empty chairs still lingered in my mind like uninvited guests. My parents hadn't even called. Not a message. Not a single word. Just more photos of cliffs, waves, and smiles captioned with reconnecting with nature. I sat at the kitchen table staring at the phone, scrolling through their pictures one more time. Each image felt like proof of how easily they had erased me from their priorities. For years, I had tried to earn their approval, good grades, promotions, polite smiles at family dinners. Nothing ever seemed enough. But something inside me shifted that morning. I wasn't sad anymore. I was done chasing. 3 days later, I drafted a message, not out of anger, but clarity. Mom, that. The wedding was beautiful. We missed you. But don't worry, I understand. Big Sur is hard to pass up. By the way, I wanted to tell you something important, but since you were busy, I'll just share it here. We've bought a new house. It's big enough for family, but there'll only be 2 empty chairs there. From now on, they'll always be reserved for you. You can visit anytime. Just know that this time, I won't be waiting. I hit send. No response that day. None the next either. Then, on the 3rd evening, I got a call from Mom. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Her voice was trembling. "We made a mistake," she said. "We thought you'd understand we needed space. We didn't think you'd take it so personally." I almost laughed. Personally, they missed their only child's wedding. That wasn't space. That was abandonment disguised as self-care. "I understand," I said evenly. "You chose peace over presence. I chose presence over approval. We both made our choices." There was silence. I could hear Dad in the background, whispering something, probably telling her to hang up, but she stayed on the line. "Your aunt sent us pictures," she said quietly. "You looked happy." I replied, even with the empty chairs. That silence again, this time heavier. Then she said something I didn't expect. "We're coming home early. We want to see you." But I didn't agree right away. I wanted them to feel the distance they had created. So I said gently, "Let's talk after the honeymoon. Maybe by then, we'll both know what family really means." For a moment, I thought she'd argue, but she just whispered, "Okay." A week later, my new spouse and I came back from our short honeymoon. I opened my laptop to find dozens of unread messages. My parents had posted again, but this time, the captions were different. The photos weren't of the beach or sunsets. They were of my wedding shared by relatives. Their comments underneath said everything. We missed the most important day of our child's life. For the first time in years, they looked small to me. Not as parents, but as people, flawed, selfish, scared. And somehow, that realization made forgiveness easier. Still, forgiveness didn't mean return. I started focusing on my new life. My partner and I built our home, filled it with laughter, dinners, and people who actually showed up. Every week, my parents sent small messages, recipes, weather updates, forced small talk. I responded kindly, but kept distance. Then one day, they called again. This time, Dad spoke first. "We were wrong," he said, his voice breaking. "We thought you'd always wait for us to show up. We thought you'd always need us. But seeing you move on, without us, that's what finally taught us what family means." I didn't say much. I just listened. And when he finished, I said, "You didn't lose me because you missed my wedding. You lost me the moment you stopped showing up when it mattered." He didn't argue. He just whispered, "We know." That night, I sat on the porch of our new house, watching the lights flicker through the windows. The 2 empty chairs on our patio were exactly as I'd said in my message. Untouched, symbolic, waiting. But they didn't ache anymore. They reminded me of boundaries, of growth, of lessons learned the hard way. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't cruelty. It was clarity. My parents had taught me how to stand alone by never standing beside me. And now, for the first time, I wasn't angry at them for it. I was grateful, because without their absence, I might never have learned the beauty of presence. When people later asked why my parents hadn't been at the wedding, I always smiled and said they had other plans. And that was true. But what they didn't know was that I had plans to live my life fully, surrounded by love that shows up. Because family isn't who's invited to your wedding. It's who actually takes their seat. Months later, my parents showed up at my door. No grand gestures, just 2 quiet, older faces carrying guilt heavier than any suitcase. Mom's eyes were red. Dad's voice cracked when he said, "We missed more than your wedding. We missed you." I didn't speak right away. I simply pointed toward the porch, where 2 chairs waited under the fading sun. "Those were always yours," I said softly. They sat, tears falling, silence doing what words never could. For the first time, I didn't need an apology. I'd already moved on. That evening, as we sat together, I realized something. Sometimes regret isn't punishment. It's awakening. They finally showed up. Maybe late, but real. And for me, that was enough. If you've ever been overlooked or underestimated by the people who were supposed to love you most, don't let it define you. Build your own peace, your own success, your own story. And when they finally see your worth, smile, because you already knew it all along.